Get ready with me while I tell you about things that my ex-best friend would do, but it gets worse with each one. Every time I would have braids and somebody would compliment me on them and be like, oh, your braids are so cute, she would make sure to tell them, oh, but that's not her real hair. That's plastic hair. That's horse hair. Like, she would do that every single time. She could never stand it when I would get compliments from people. Like, for example, there was this one time where she sent a snap of me and her to her friend. And her friend responded saying like, oh, your friend is really pretty. And I thought that was really sweet. But then she proceeded to send a snap back. But instead of sending a normal snap, she put her phone in my face like this up close to find like an ugly angle. And she was like, no, but she's not pretty in real life. She's not pretty in real life. And I was like, girl, what the fuck? And every time I would confront her on these things, she would just be like, oh, it's just a joke. You're so sensitive. I'm just joking. Relax. But like, why would you do that? And like so many times she would just take pictures of me and make them like purposely ugly. Like she would always take like those 0.5 pictures of my forehead or like double chin pictures and always try to take ugly pictures of me. Every time we would work on a school project together, she would always lie to get out of it. Like we would always be paired in a group together. And every time we would have to do the work and split it 50-50, she would find excuses to not do it. She would always just find the weirdest reasons. So I would always have to do the projects by myself. And I knew she was lying. Like, it was such obvious lies, but she would never admit to it. There was this one time in school where we accidentally both broke something. And we basically had to confess to breaking it. So I told my mom that I broke that with her on accident. And my mom told the teachers just to inform them. And when the teachers confronted us about it, just being like, oh, did you break that? I was like, yeah, we broke it on accident, sorry. And she just started crying and saying that I'm lying and basically was like, oh, no, she did it on her own. I didn't do anything. And just because she was crying, everybody believed her. So then she turned like all the teachers and her parents against me, and they all thought I was trying to frame her, even though we both did it together. Like, she never admitted to doing it, and her parents hated me from that point on. And after she did all that, we were still friends. That was in elementary school, by the way. And her parents hated me. They hated me just because of that. And sometimes she would just tell me how her dad said he's gonna beat me up for it. Like, mind you, I was a child, and her dad threatened to fight me. This one time, her mom came into school and basically just yelled at me and said that I shouldn't be her friend because I'm a bad influence, even though I didn't do anything. Then in middle school, there was this one guy in my class, and he was like a huge racist, basically. He would always say the most racist stuff to me, and like, nobody ever really did anything. And mind you, she knew that he was doing all of that and how racist he was. After a while, I found out that she started talking to him, and they had like a thing. And I'm like, girl, she was my best friend, and she knew how he treated me and how racist he was, and she ended up getting with him. Like, excuse me? Another thing was every time I would have a crush on a guy and I would tell her, she would start texting them. Either she would start texting them or she would follow them on Instagram or something like that, and she would all of a sudden have a crush on them too, out of nowhere. So at some point when I had a crush on someone, I would just stop telling her because I knew that she would somehow try to get closer to them. I don't know why. Anytime I would get a compliment on like a shirt or a dress or whatever I was wearing, after a while, she would come back with the same things. Like, for example, if somebody said, oh, I really like your jacket, she would buy that same jacket and wear it a week after. And every time I'd be like, oh, like, I didn't know you had that. She would be like, oh, no, I had it before you. I bought it before you. You copied me. Like, bitch. So yeah, at some point, I got really fed up with being her friend. So I just started hanging out with other people. When I basically stopped hanging out with her and started hanging out with other people, she tried to bully me. Like, this girl was crazy. Every time I would be sick and stay home from school, she would go up to the teachers and tell them that I'm skipping school, which I never did, first of all. And I would only find that out from my other friends who were in school at that time. Every time I was in class just minding my own business and, for example, saying something to participate, she would make like negative comments in class and just try and make fun of me. So yeah, after a week of her doing that, I came up to her and I was like, girl, like, I've been noticing that you keep doing this, this, and this. Can you stop? Because it's really fucking annoying, right? So she was like, yeah, okay, I guess I'm going to stop. And then we had class. And then after we got out of that class and I was going to go home, she called my name and she comes up to me and she's like, oh, remember what we talked about earlier? And I was like, yeah. She was like, yeah, basically, I changed my mind. I'm not going to stop. Like, she was like, I'm not going to stop. Because you deserve it. And I'm like, excuse me? The audacity. She just came up to me and was like, that I deserve that. For what? Bitch, I didn't do anything to you. And then she just turned around and she walked off, still feeling herself. And I was literally baffled. I did not know what to say. I was like, what the fuck? At some point I had to report her. She just didn't want to stop. Of course, she told the teachers that she didn't do anything, and people believed her. So yeah, that was it. Obviously, we're not friends anymore, and we're not in contact at all. So yeah, I have a few more stories about her. So if anyone wants to hear, I can make a part 2.
So my hamster just almost died. Story time. Before anyone wants to start and say I'm a bad hamster mom, I've had 2 hamsters in the past who died naturally and lived a year over they're supposed to live. So I know what I'm doing. So last night I slept over at my friend's house, and when I came home, I walked into my room and I saw the cage of my hamster's cage off, and I start digging through. There's no hamster. The lid of the cage is extremely hard for me to get off. So how did it come off? No one knows. Me and my mom are both convinced that my cat somehow ripped off the lid to the cage because he is pretty crazy. After I am digging through the cage and I can't find any hamster, I'm freaking out, tearing up the whole house, and my first thought is that it is a dead hamster somewhere in this house that is going to stink and rot, and I've only had this hamster for like 2 weeks at this point, so I'm like, what the fuck? After I literally tear apart the whole entire house, like I'm looking behind the fridge, the washer and dryer, I could not find this bitch. I literally just give up and start laying in my bed, bawling my eyes out because what the hell is just going on? It's literally like 10 in the morning and I come home and I see this. I go in my closet to try to find my work shirt because I still have to go to work today. And I see a little black hamster running around. So I pretty much just lay my hands down. She jumps right into my hands and I put her back in her cage and she's alive. I was fully convinced my cat demolished her because, again, he's crazy. Okay, that's it. This literally happened like an hour ago, so I'm still a little traumatized. But I love you so much. Have an amazing day.
Hey y'all, get ready with me while I tell you how my friend group of 5 went to 4 in one night. I had this wonderful friend group of 5 girls, of course, and it was just a regular hangout night not too long ago, actually, during spring break, and I had all my girls over. Until, of course there's always an until, the one girl in our group, let's call her Lily, we were as a group collectively deciding which Disney character reminded us of each. I know girls get their feelings hurt easily, and no one was like mean or anything. Like, I was Rapunzel, someone else was Belle. Like, it wasn't mean. And we got to Lily. I don't even remember what they called her, but she ended up getting her feelings hurt and started like shouting and making it a bigger deal. We were doing this discussion in the kitchen, and so I looked around and there was a butter knife on the table, and I said, why don't we do a talking butter knife? So basically, if you were holding the butter knife, you could talk and nobody else could because everyone was shouting at this point. And being 100% honest, this actually worked, except for Lily. She did not want to do the talking butter. We ended up stopping the game because it got too much because of Lily, and we just went on our way. Well, anywho, a few hours had gone by, like maybe 2, and we had not seen Lily. So because I was hosting the little sleepover, I decided to go, find her and check on her because, again, she is our friend. So I looked for like 30 minutes, couldn't find her. I'm calling her name, and I'm looking in the bathrooms, and I go in my little sister's bathroom. It's completely dark. And she was sitting in front of the door, in the dark, of my sister's bathroom. And, she heard me call her name and didn't respond. I practically pushed my way through this door to sit down and talk to her, and she's basically, crying, and I'm, scrolling on Shein, and I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, nothing, continuously, right? And then I just leave, because if you're not going to tell me what's wrong, there's nothing I can do for you. Okay, so I ended up going back downstairs, and then I heard her talking super loudly right close to my mom's room. At this point, it's like 3 a.m. She has to get up for work in about 2 hours, and she's sitting there talking super loudly on the phone, and I snapped. So I go to the room where she's at, right by my mom's room, and I'm like, hey, listen, you can be upset, that's totally okay, but you cannot sit here, be loud on the phone when my mom is trying to sleep after so much she does for us. She ends up refusing to move and gets louder, and I'm being calm, patient, no cussing, nothing. I wasn't being mean. I was like, listen, you really need to move. You can go to the living room, you can go to my room, you can go outside, but you need to move. And when I said she could go outside, she goes, "So you're kicking me out?" No. Well, at this point, she's on the phone with her mom or grandma, and she's screaming, cussing, yelling, begging to come get her to pick her up because we're ganging up on her, when I was literally just... It's giving pathological liar. Like, I tried to be nice, but you're not getting your ass up and moving, and you're going to wake my mom up, and she's gonna get mad at me. And so then I got mad, and I was like, "Get your ass up and go. Now. Now, go." I was so mad. And she finally gets up, goes outside, sits outside, crying, cussing at her mom, like, "Come pick me up." And she's like, "It's 3 a.m, I'm not picking you up." She's like, "I don't give a shit, come pick me up." You know what I mean, right? Ends up convincing grandma, mom, I don't know, to come get her. And so we go upstairs. I was like, "You're not coming back in, like, with this state of frantic manic. You're not." And I left the door open. She's sitting right there by the door, and I'm like, "We'll go get your bag. It's already packed," because it was the last night they were spending the night. Bring it down. We bring it. Go, right? And then she's like, calls her mom, and her mom's like, "Walk to the end of the driveway and we'll get you." And I was like, oh, thank the Lord. This story time doesn't even grasp how loud, rude, disrespectful, like, she was to everybody. Like, there was so much more. You had to live it. And those 4 girls, I'm sure they'll comment, like... So she starts walking to the end of the driveway, and I was like, I wouldn't want to walk to the end of the driveway at 3 a.m. in the dark by myself. My driveway is super long. And so I was like, "We'll walk with you." And she was like, "No, go yourself. I help you." Super rude. And we were all calm and chill. No one was cussing. No one was nothing. So we're like, we're just going to walk behind her. So she's walking, and she's like 20 feet above us. So she ends up sitting on the road of the highway by my house, even though, like, she didn't want to be by us. Like, that didn't make sense. Her sister goes and checks on her, and Lily swings on her, and her sister just backs up and walks away. I was like, "You know what, fine, you can stay there." So her mom pulls up, right? Gets out of the car, and she's trying to pull up my driveway, and I'm like, "You're not about to pull up my driveway and be loud and wake my mama up." So, like, she didn't end up pulling up ever fully up on my driveway. Like, I stood my ground, and she's, like, all upset, and she's talking about somehow she was going to protect her babies or whatever, and, like... of course, like, I get that motherly instinct, but she wasn't getting the full story. She was just getting Lily's story. Anyway, so her mom ends up trying to get her sister to come home as well after Lily just gave us death threats, and of course she was like, "No, I'm not going. I didn't do anything." Everyone's crying at this point. They're shouting, screaming, cops being threatened to be called. So overdramatic. I mean, it was all girls, so, like... Anyway... Lily's uncle was there too, and so he ends up calming everyone down, which is the only time a situation a man has ever helped. I'm just kidding. I can't say that. Which is a situation a man has ever calmed down. And so basically, he calms it down and gets her to leave. And she leaves, and she ends up blocking me. She blocked me. Lily blocked me on everything. One of the beautiful girls from the 4-friend group now. Anyway, bye beautiful people. Hey guys, so this is a part 2 for that how my friend group of 5 went to 4 in one night. I really did not expect that video to blow up, so a lot of you have so many questions, and in this video, I'm going to answer them and give you some more details. If you haven't watched the first video, I definitely go say watch it, because otherwise this is going to be a little bit confusing. The main question on that video was, what did we actually call her in the whole Disney princess thing? And we had 2 characters each. My 2 characters were Rapunzel and Mike Wazowski from Monsters, Inc., and I didn't pitch a fit over it. Her 2 characters were Meg from Hercules and Mother Gothel from Rapunzel. And if you ask me, both of those girls are serving cunt. Another one of people's concerns was that I just dropped her, and that is not true. When she went outside, she actually said to us that we should quote-unquote just drop her because she was over it. Also, let me remind you, when she left my house, she blocked me on everything, and she blocked everyone else, including her sister, for like a day. Another thing, she actually ended up telling her mom that we quote-unquote tried to her. And she also told her mom that we hit her with a glass bottle, which makes 0 sense because my parents don't drink and we don't have any glass bottles in my house. She was yelling, she was cussing, and she was making a whole ruckus. Not me and not the other 4 girls. Or 3 girls. I can't just stop being friends with someone. I still have so much love and compassion. I really hope the best for her. But, like, for the sake of our friend group, it's not gonna work because we're not trying to do that every night. Another thing I should mention is previously things were being stolen, and on top of that, this also happened the night before. So it wasn't one and done. There was things leading up as well. Another thing that should be mentioned, she spent the night prior to everyone else coming over, so it was just me and her. And she actually was talking crap about all the other girls, and on top of that, she was mad when they came because my attention wasn't with just her. Fortunately, some people don't do well in the group environment, and I think she just had enough of being in a group, if you know what I mean. Also, her mom threatened to beat my ass and my mom's ass. She did come back in the morning and apologize for that, but, you know, I honestly have so much love for that girl still, and I hope the best for her, but, you know, she overreacted at the end of the day. Anyway, bye beautiful people, I love you!